We are Black Force. We are Arizona.
Another beautiful evening in Chicago. We know it's hot back home, so try and think some cool thoughts with us as we play baseball just off the shore of Lake Michigan. D-backs looking to make it 2 straight wins over the Cubs. So join us for D-backs baseball on Fox Sports Arizona. Good evening from Wrigley Field and welcome to the broadcast. Steve Berthew, Bob Renly along the way. D-backs dominated the Cubs here last night. Patrick Corbin was outstanding. And we'll look to continue that trend tonight. For the first time in 1 month, Bob, it's Clay Buchholz on the mound.
Excuse me, Bert. His first start since June 24th, and we welcome him back whether it's at home on the road, but especially on the road. He's 18 games over 500 on the road throughout his career. Only 2 games over 500 at home, so here we are at Wrigley on the road. Go get him, Clay.
His 8th start for the D-backs, a 2.56 ERA so far. Goldie homered last night. And this has gone a little bit under the radar, but his career numbers against the Chicago Cubs are Hall of Fame worthy.
They really are. The 4th best average all time against the Cubs, 362, a slugging percentage of 739, an OPS over 1,200. He's absolutely owned the Cubs throughout the course of his career, and this season is no different.
He'll be facing Chicago right-hander Kyle Hendricks tonight. Torey Lovullo and company look for 2 in a row over the Cubs. First pitch next on Fox Sports Arizona. D-backs baseball on Fox Sports Arizona is brought to you by CenturyLink, connecting you to the power of the digital world. And by your Valley Honda dealer, where you'll get more standard features for less money. D-backs home run. Score free Jumbo Jacks only at Jack in the Box. By Chaz Roberts Air Conditioning and Plumbing. Choose Chaz. By First Watch Restaurants, the Daytime Cafe. And by Gila River Hotels and Casinos. The card by Gila River Casinos earns you rewards 10 times faster than ever before. Sign up for the card today. Oh, where do we sign up for weather like this? We have been blessed here in Chicago. We know you're sweating back home, so hang in with us. It is picture perfect 81 off the shores of Lake Michigan. Steve Berthew, Bob Renly, Tom Walsh with you. It's the D-backs and the Chicago Cubs, the second of this 4-game set. Diamondbacks 9 over 500, second in the NL West, only a game and a half behind the Dodgers for the division lead. Every box, Bob, last night was checked. Timely hitting, defense, outstanding starting pitching from Patrick Corbin.
Oh, Patrick Corbin was just fantastic last night in his post-game press conference. Joe Madden compared him to Steve Carlton back in his heyday. That's how good Patrick Corbin was last night, and the D-backs offense jumping all over the Cubs in that first inning.
And tonight, Clay Buchholz makes his first ever appearance at Wrigley Field. Let's take a look at Torey Lovullo's starting lineup tonight. That's brought to you by your Valley Chevy dealers.
John Jay will lead it off tonight out in center field this evening. Paul Goldschmidt at first base. David Peralta out in left field. Steven Souza Jr. back in the lineup in right field. Jake Lamb will be at third base tonight. Ketel Marte at second. Nick Ahmed at shortstop. Alex Avila doing the catching for right-hander Clay Buchholz.
So here are the Cubs, 58 wins. That's still the most in the National League. They lead the NL Central by 2.5 games over the Milwaukee Brewers. You can see what a gorgeous night it is at Wrigley Field. They are tough to beat in this ballpark. In fact, Chicago has not lost 2 straight games in a homestand against another NL team since the first week of May, when Colorado won back-to-back games here.
There's the gentleman that finished the game for the Cubs last night on the mound, Anthony Rizzo. He'd been begging Joe Maddon for years to get an opportunity to take the mound, and last night Joe finally decided to let the left-hander go out there and throw a couple of pitches, and that's all it took.
Came on to get A.J. Pollock to fly out to center to get the final out at the top of the 9th inning. And the Diamondbacks 7-1 win. Corbin was, we've said this a number of times, as good as we've seen him all year. And we'll see what Clay Buchholz can come up with tonight. Cubs take the field. Their Ram truck starting pitcher for Chicago is Kyle Hendricks, 28-year-old right-hander. Now, 2 seasons ago, he finished 3rd in the National League Cy Young voting, but this year, 6-8, the ERA just under 4.
Yeah, giving up 18 home runs so far this season in 115 innings. You might as well turn the radar gun off tonight. This guy does not depend on velocity whatsoever. A sinker, changeup, curveball combination. We'll mix in an occasional 4-seamer. None of them explosive. But he has tremendous command, very much like Zach Greinke. Here's the defense for the Cubs tonight. Jason Hayward getting the start in right field. Albert Almora Jr. out in center. Kyle Schwarber in left field. It'll be Ian Happ at third base tonight. Addison Russell and Javier Baez make up the double play combo, with Anthony Rizzo at first. Victor Caratini, who also pitched in the ball game last night, doing the catching for right-hander Kyle Hendricks.
That look around the diamond brought to you by E.D. Marshall Jewelers. Here are the umpires tonight. Bruce Dreckman calling the balls and strikes behind the plate. Chad Fairchild is our first base ump. Mike Estabrook at second. And there's the crew chief, Mark Carlson, at third. Even with last night's loss to the Diamondbacks, the Cubs 31-18 at home this year. They've won 16 of their last 22 in this ballpark. So if you can get a win tonight and guarantee no worse than a split of this 4-game series, you'll be sitting pretty right now.
Absolutely. I mean, this Cubs team has been playing some good baseball lately. They've got some question marks in their starting rotation and in their bullpen with their closer Brandon Morrow on the disabled list. But this is, I mentioned last night, on offense, very similar to the Colorado Rockies. They can score runs in bunches. They can beat you with the long ball from 1 through 8.
Kyle Hendricks is done with his warm-up tosses. We are set to go. John Jay will lead it off for the Diamondbacks. Jay was hit by a pitch, walked and scored a run last night, batting .271 with 3 homers.
John Jay got hit by a pitch?
Stunning, isn't it?
He took the lead from Anthony Rizzo in the National League with that hit by pitch last night. It was funny, he got to first base and he and Anthony were talking down there. I wonder if they were comparing notes on how to get hit by pitches.
Well, they could give a seminar, the two of them, that's for sure. There's the strike. We're underway. As Bob mentioned, you won't see any velocity really from Kyle Hendricks. That was an 86-mile-an-hour fastball. And so the coaches felt like John Jay, with his bat speed, pretty good matchup for Kyle Hendricks tonight. And last night fit the pattern that's been true a lot. When John Jay gets on base, the D-backs win.
Good things tend to happen when that leadoff man gets on base.
Always hard to sit A.J. Pollock down. You've got Jay in center tonight. A.J. gets the night off. Seemed to make sense with a couple of day games coming up and a left-hander, John Lester, on the mound tomorrow. This just sort of fit. So A.J. gets a breather tonight. Jay in center. 2-2. Goldie on deck.
Yeah, I mean, Torrey and his staff, they don't come to the ballpark at 4 o'clock in the afternoon and say, okay, who's going to play tonight? They look at the schedule weeks in advance and try to anticipate the matchups, righty, lefty, look at career numbers against certain pitchers and try to come up with the best lineup on a given night, but sometimes 2 or 3 weeks in advance.
John Jay swinging a miss. That's the changeup. That is Kyle Hendricks' out pitch. It's his best pitch.
You'll see that pitch 2 strike counts when he's ahead in the count, and especially with runners in scoring position, trying to take advantage of the hitter's aggressiveness.
Diamondbacks know about that pitch and they are looking for it, but Jay missed that one. Here's Goldie. Couple of hits last night, including a home run. His 22nd of the year. Keep this in mind about Kyle Hendricks as well. He's already given up a career high 18 home runs this year, and half of those home runs have come in the first inning. Jam Goldie that time, popped up behind second. Russell in front of Baez. Two out.
Hendricks coming off his season high 113 pitches in just 4 2/3 innings against the St. Louis Cardinals. Gave up 9 hits and 3 runs in that game. Was chased because of the pitch count.
The last 2 months he has really struggled. Here's Peralta. 287 and 16 home runs for David. 2 outs on 8 pitches for Hendricks. Fastball is there, 0-1. Peralta singled and scored last night. Part of that 5-run D-backs first. There's another fastball. You can see Hendricks really right around the edges of the strike zone all the time. And then when he wants to throw that changeup, maybe just a little bit off the plate, get you to chase.
Right here. There it is.
Peralta lays off. It's 1-2.
If you pitch for the Chicago Cubs, a lot of your success and your numbers depend on which direction does the wind blow when I take the mound. Doesn't seem to bother Kyle Hendricks one way or the other. His 2.63 career ERA here at Wrigley is the 5th lowest in the history of this park, with at least 50 games started.
And tonight it's blowing in the opposite direction that we had last night, blowing out toward the left field corner. More of a gentle breeze than a wind, really. That one's fouled away. Another changeup. D-backs expect Hendricks will play around both sides of the strike zone with that changeup. He works within 2 inches of the zone on all sides, more than any other pitcher in the league. Usually extremely accurate. Peralta just fighting off these changeups. Still 2-2. Here's Jim Hickey, the pitching coach. They have tried to figure out for the last 2 months why Hendricks has not been effective. And they really haven't found an answer yet. Caratini can't hang on. Peralta stays alive. Another
New life for
changeup.
David. Yeah, that one fouled right into the heart of the mitt of Victor Caratini. Just couldn't hang on.
I mean, this is how much faith Hendricks has in that changeup. It's just one after another here to Peralta with 2 strikes. Fastball away, missed. It's full 3-2. Up the middle, a base hit for David. Got a change up and knocked it into center, a 2-out single. Rocket Mortgage breakdown by Quicken Loans. Look at Steven Souza Jr. in the last 7 games. He is really heating up.
Boy, you could just see it coming too. The contact was getting better and better with each progressive ball game. Then he started to find some gaps and find some holes, and he looks very comfortable at the plate right now.
216 with a home run. Batting cleanup tonight. Hendricks will mix up 3 different fastballs. That was the sinker right there. The 4-seamer really his 3rd pitch. Just caught the outer half of the zone, and it's 0-2.
You know, we used to have a term for guys like Kyle Hendricks when I played. He's a dart thrower.
Yeah.
He doesn't really have that long arm stroke. He doesn't really try to overpower hitters. He's just like throwing darts at the edges of the strike zone.
Did he check? Yes, he did, says Chad Fairchild. 1-2.
Well, this is one of those nights for a fan watching at home. It'd be really interesting to keep an eye on Victor Caratini, what he calls for and where he sets up, and see how many times Kyle Hendricks hits that mitt.
Souza knocks it into left field. Peralta will stop at second. A pair of 2-out singles for the D-backs. A chance now for Jake Lamb. Jake hitting .223 with 6 home runs.
21 pitches here in the first inning after getting 2 quick outs to start the inning, and extended at bat by David Peralta, and then Steven Souza Jr. with a base hit into left field. Now Jake Lamb a chance to get the Diamondbacks on the board here in the first inning again.
Yeah, 8 pitches to get the first 2 outs. He's thrown 13 pitches since, trying to get number 3. 2 on, 2 down for Lamb. Fastball to strike, 0-1. Jake had an RBI in last night's win. He's got Peralta at second, Souza at first. No shift by the Cubs. We mentioned this last night. They shift against left-hand batters fewer than any other team in baseball. We always think of the Cubs as very analytically inclined, kind of a sabermetric approach to things, but they play him pretty much straight up.
I think that's absolutely the right approach with Kyle Hendricks on the mound. This is a guy that needs to use both sides of the plate, up, down, in, out. You don't want to limit him to one area of the field to try to get the opposing hitters to hit the ball. He might throw a pitch off the outside corner. He'll come back off the inside corner. You need your defense to play straight up with a guy like this on the mound.
Nice job by Lamb to spit on that 2-strike changeup. 25th pitch of the inning on the way.
5th hitter for the D-backs. Kyle Hendricks has had 0-2 counts on 4 of the first 5 hitters of the game.
No, he didn't, Mark Carlson. 2-2. He's trying change-ups, backdoor sinkers. Marte would be next. D-backs with 5 runs in the first inning last night. A chance to put a run up on the board again here. Caught the corner, says Bruce Dreckman. Hendricks strands 2. Play Buckles coming up. That's an angelic opening shot.
With guidance from above.
How about Brian Moss? Another angelic shot from our director here, Wrigley Field.
Absolutely beautiful. Of course, there's a lot of beautiful shots around Wrigley Field. It's hard to find a bad shot in this ballpark on a day like this.
Ram Truck starter Clay Buchholz tonight making his first start since June 24th when he suffered a strained left oblique at Pittsburgh.
Averaging just under a strikeout per inning, only 7 walks in his 38 2/3. The sparkling ERA of 2.56 in 7 starts.
Anthony Rizzo will lead it off. This has worked out wonderfully so far for the Cubs, with Rizzo batting in the number 1 spot. Lamb is in at third, and that's 1 pitch, 1 out. Lineup for the Cubs brought to you by your Valley Chevy dealers.
Anthony Rizzo, 1 pitch, 1 out. He'll be at first base. Albert Almora Jr., the center fielder, making his way to the plate. Jason Hayward will be in right field. Javier Baez at second base. Ian Happ at third base. Kyle Schwarber will be out in left field tonight. Addison Russell at shortstop. Kyle Hendricks, the pitcher, batting 8th. And the catcher, Victor Caratini, hitting 9th.
Here's Almora, just percentage points behind Atlanta's Nick Markakis for the National League lead in hitting. A .321 batting average. Almora's single last night, he was 1 for 3. Belted to left, right at Peralta. Time now, Bob, for your Valley Honda dealers key to the game.
Well, we're hoping to buck the trend tonight, if you will. We've gotten good starts out of Zach Greinke and Patrick Corbin on a pretty consistent basis, but the other 3 starts in the rotation been a little hit or miss, with Robbie Ray not quite back up to full speed yet. Shelby Miller struggles. So for Clay Buchholz, it'd be nice to see 3 consecutive really good starts from a Diamondback starter.
He's been outstanding all year. 2 outs on 3 pitches. Jason Hayward, the right fielder tonight, bats third. Fastball misses low, 1-0. Hayward single last night. Expectations for Clay Buchholz, Tor Lavello told us before the game. He's ready for a 95 pitch effort. They'll keep an eye on the workload in every inning. They'll watch the up downs, but they expect Clay to be his usual self tonight. No real limitations. Gets Hayward to pop up. How about that start for Clay Buchholz? 3 outs on 6 pitches. No score at Wrigley. You can get a custom D-backs ASU cap and a discounted baseline reserve ticket, all for only $25 with a special event ticket pack. Check it out, dbacks.com/ASU. Ketel Marte leads off the Diamondbacks second against Kyle Hendricks. Marte 248, 9 homers. Fastball's a strike, 0-1.
Yeah, we talked about the wind that was blowing from right to left during batting practice today, and Ketel Marte was putting on a show, hitting right-handed, banging balls off that scoreboard out there in left center field like he was Babe Ruth or something.
Well, we know he's got equal home run power from either side of the plate. There's that left field scoreboard.
Yeah, just below his picture there where it has his date of birth, he was just pounding balls off that scoreboard during batting practice.
Well, he's done a nice job here laying off some pitches down and away. From Kyle Hendricks, it's 2-1. Took a hack that time. Hendricks moved a little closer in. The sinker is strike 2. Nick Ahmed, red hot right now, as Todd mentioned on the pregame show, on deck. Boy, I mean, it's almost like Zach Godley in the curveball. You can write it down with a big black Sharpie. If he gets 2 strikes, that changeup's coming.
It seems like every pitcher has a go-to pitch. When they feel like they're in trouble, when they feel like they're one pitch away from putting a hitter away, they'll go to that pitch. And for Kyle Hendricks, there's no doubt that changeup.
Swing and a miss. Gets his 3rd strikeout, and that was the changeup once again.
That's a good one. He really sells it with the arm action, has just enough fading action away from the left-handed hitter, and certainly off speed enough to get some swings and misses.
Nick Ahmed now. Nick up to 233, 12 homers. Had maybe the best at bat of the ball game last night. 11 pitches in the 8th inning against Rosario before he knocked an RBI single into left.
Had 5 2-strike foul balls in that at bat to stay alive. Ultimately got the base hit.
Yeah, Nick's got 6 RBIs in his last 3 games. 2-0. I think for Nick, the big key is just being healthy. Remember, it was June 27th last year when he suffered a fractured right hand, hit by a pitch from Trevor Rosenthal of the Cardinals, and then was hit again, a broken right wrist, while he was rehabbing at AAA Reno. So he played only about 50 games all of last year, and really wasn't healthy the season before that because of that bad hip. So this is really the first time in 3 years he's been healthy.
And that good health combined with an approach where he wants to do damage. He wants to hit the ball hard this year if he swings at it.
Short right for Hayward. He's got a million gold gloves out there. 2 down.
Well, maybe he could give one to Kyle Schwarber in left, because that's the only way Schwarber's going to get one.
What are you saying?
He does what he can out there, and he's not in the lineup for his glove. He's only made 1 error this year out in left field, but it's quite a contrast from one corner to the other here at Wrigley Field.
A converted catcher, Kyle Schwarber. They've kind of stuck him out there in left. Alex Avila finished up last season as a Chicago Cub. Behind the plate tonight. Alex traded from Detroit to Chicago at the deadline last year. He only played 35 games with the Cubs. Very limited action once Wilson Contreras came back from an injury. Signed with the D-backs in the offseason as a free agent. Cubs do have the shift on for Avila, who's down 0-2. That big curveball. StatCast AI powered by AWS. There's the shift.
back-to-back curveballs. That's an oddity for Kyle Hendricks. That curveball's kind of a show-me pitch. He'll drop it in there every now and then, trying to steal a first strike, bounce one in the dirt with a 2-strike count, but back-to-back curveballs this time to Alex Avila.
Slaps that one foul. Guess what? A 2-strike changeup.
Not an empty seat in the place tonight. As you know, partner, we came on the team bus again today, and I mean, thousands of people surrounding Wrigley Field just waiting for the gates to open up.
Yeah, it's just a sea of Cubby blue t-shirts. Missed with that one off the plate. It's 2-2. We had last night 40,859 in here. And tonight is simply a perfect night to sit outside and watch a baseball game. 81 degrees, barely a cloud in the sky, just gorgeous. Now we know you're going through heck at home with the record-setting temperatures. Just hang in there with us. That's never fun.
No, no, no.
Buchholz batting ninth on deck.
Yeah, take care of yourselves and take care of your neighbors.
Swing and a miss. Well, 4 strikeouts through 2 innings for Hendricks. No score at Wrigley Field.
John Jay patrolling center field here at Wrigley tonight. David Peralta will be in left. Steven Souza Jr. over in right. It'll be Jake Lamb and Nick Ahmed on the left side of the infield. Ketel Marte and Paul Goldschmidt on the right side. Alex Avila doing the catching, and right-hander Clay Buchholz on the mound. Buchholz
only the second time in 198 career starts he's gotten through the first inning in only 6 pitches. And Javier Baez, the all-star second baseman, leads off the second. 293, 19 home runs, leading the league with those 74 RBIs. Fastball's a strike, 0-1. Baez singled twice last night. His 31st multi-hit game this year. That leads the Cubs.
When you mentioned that clean first inning for Clay, that is huge, because after the first inning, opponents are hitting only 191 against him compared to 296 in the first inning.
Avila sets up inside. Jam Baez that time. Jake Lamb at third. 4 up, 4 down for Buchholz. Buchholz has been exceptional this year at throwing strike one. And that is really where it starts for him. Before he got hurt, he was throwing first pitch strikes about 70% of the time, the highest rate of his career. He got ahead of Baez, got him to ground out. Now here's the third baseman, Ian Happ. Just missed that time with a fastball. Happ, 257, 12 homers. He doubled and scored the Cubs' only run last night. When he started in left field, finished up the game in center. And he's at third base tonight. Curveball missed.
Might be on the mound before the end of the ball game.
You never know. He has pitched one inning this year, Ian Happ. He's a very talented, versatile young player, only 23 years old. And Joe Madden this year has started Happ in center and left, third base, right field, first base. He's pitched. It's a really good looking young player. Buchholz kind of nibbling around the edges here, and he's fallen behind 3-1. That changeup missed high and away. Kyle Schwarber on deck. Schwarber on deck, looks like he's ready to pound railroad ties or something. He's got John Henry's hammer. That's a club. Three and two. See, Buchholz in this at bat did not get that first pitch strike, and now he's really had to work on Happ. Threw it in the dirt. First base runner for Chicago.
Both these pitchers are very similar in their approach. Try to throw the fastball to the edges of the zone, get hitters to chase off-speed pitches out of the zone. Buchholz probably uses his breaking ball a little bit more than Kyle Hendricks, but both guys just pounding away at the edges of the zone.
Schwarber was off last night. He homered Sunday in their win over St. Louis. There's not a lot of subtlety involved with Kyle Schwarber. He's up there kind of like Miguel Gorilla, just trying to pound it. In fact, he took part in last week's home run derby, Kyle Schwarber, at the All-Star game. He was the runner-up, but he hit 55 home runs in 3 rounds. That's a lot of long ball. Here's a look at the defense against him. Ahmed on the first base side is second.
I'll tell you, that home run derby this year at the All-Star game was quite a show. It's really evolved from when it initially started and seemed like it would never end. And, you know, now there's some time limits and there's some goals to shoot for. And
that clock added a lot of drama.
Oh, it sure did.
In the minds of many, as you said, it might have saved that event. It had become kind of a yawner. And just endless guys would just keep swinging until they dropped. They were so tired. But the clock adds a little bit of tension and a sense of urgency, which is nice. And Bryce Harper did not disappoint.
Whoa.
Buchholz has always been very good at controlling the running game. He'll throw over to first a lot. He'll have long sets. That's when his tempo comes nearly to a stop. You'll see him work noticeably slower here. Sometimes painfully slow, but he's always effective. A lot of throws over to first.
And the Cubs don't run a lot. Javier Baez with 19 stolen bases in 22 attempts leads the team by a wide margin. Ian Happ is second with 5 stolen bases.
Happ 5 for 6 this year. Holding in first. That one's in there off the plate, but Bruce Dreckman says strike 2. Buchholz continues working away to lefties with that changeup. Always a good time to play Ohio trivia. Kyle Schwarber from Middletown, Ohio.
Yeah.
Now, where is that in relation to Coshocton?
Well, it's west and a little south. Middletown is between Dayton and Cincinnati on the southwestern part of the state.
That's good country there.
Yeah, it's crossroads, Middletown.
Whoa, that's a strike, says Bruce Dreckman. Kyle Schwarber's not convinced. First strikeout for Buchholz.
Yeah, I think it was because Bruce Dreckman had to think about it for a second before getting that right arm up in the air. We'll take a look at the pitch by pitch of that Kyle Schwarber at bat. This is down low with a fastball to start it off. Change up right there in the middle of the plate. Another one. Up and in off the plate with a fastball. That's the one right there. Just a little bit of a late call that time. Our Nationwide Vision eye on the game. Bruce Dreckman ringing up Kyle Schwarber.
Addison Russell now, the shortstop. Buchholz, when he was in Boston, would often drive the coaches a little bit crazy with his constant throwovers to first. It kind of became a thing for him.
The thing about his move to first, he's got a good one. He's very quick feet, gets his body into a good position to snap that throw over to first base. Probably not as important in a pitcher's game in the game today as it used to be back in the day when teams would hit and run and steal bases.
Yeah, they don't do that in the American League anymore.
No.
A little bit over here, certainly much less so over there. Bruce Dreckman's east and west strike zone starting to expand a bit. Backdoor sinker's a strike.
There is a day game tomorrow.
At a 1:20 start local time here. Robbie Ray and John Lester. 11:20 back home. Breakfast with the Diamondbacks tomorrow. Another day game coming up Thursday.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to matter who's squatting behind the plate for the Diamondbacks. Very few pitches in the dirt ever get through.
That's why they emphasize defense and the handling of pitchers back there in this organization, more so than offense. You see it time and time again how important it is.
We saw a great example of that in the ball game last night. In that 8th inning, Jeff Mathis reached on a fielder's choice, advanced to second on a wild pitch, went to third on a pass ball, and then scored on the Nick Ahmed base hit into left field.
Yeah, Wilson Contreras was not having a great night back there. Buchholz paying a lot of attention to Happ. He's fallen behind on Russell 3-1. The pitcher Hendricks bats 8th. He's on deck. 5 throws to first for Buchholz in this inning. Full count, 3-2. There goes Happ from first. Russell fouls off a fastball. D-backs a game and a half behind the Dodgers for the NL West lead. Dodgers at Philly tonight. Rockies 2.5 games back of LA. They're hosting Houston. Giants 5.5 games behind. They're at Seattle. One more time on 3-2. There goes Happ. Swing and a miss. He got him. A 1-out walk, then back-to-back strikeouts for Buchholz. No score in Chicago. LA has a 2-0 lead at Citizens Bank Park. They're in the 5th.
That was a long one right there by Grandal. Man, you rarely saw balls hit into that bullpen the first year of that ballpark. Guys are regularly hitting them out there over the bullpen now.
Here's a look at the NL West standings. Rockies home against the Astros. Giants at Safeco Field, Seattle. We'll be in San Diego for 3 games starting on Friday. The pitcher, Clay Buchholz, leads off the D-back third against Kyle Hendricks. Hendricks, since giving up back-to-back 2-out singles in the first, has retired 4 in a row. He's got 4 strikeouts. Well, now he's in position to throw that changeup ahead 0-2. The most 2-strike changeups thrown in baseball. Entering today, Kyle Hendricks, number 1. By about 50.
Here comes another one.
Swing and a miss. It's working. 5 strikeouts. He set down 5 in a row.
You know, I fully know this is never going to happen the way the game is nowadays. But once again, back in the day, if you faced a guy like Hendricks as a left-handed hitter, you would creep up on the plate a little bit. How many times have you seen him come inside on a lefty? Usually it's just for show, and then right back on that outside corner with both the fastball and the changeup. So back in the day, guys used to creep up on the plate.
Well, he's faced 9 hitters, worked his way through the order 1 time. He's had 6 0-2 counts, and he's putting guys away with that changeup. 1-0 to John Jay. Jay struck out to lead off the ball game. And the thing was that they know it's coming. Everybody knows it's coming. Torrey told us they fully expected to see a lot of change-ups from Hendricks today.
And you might ask yourself at home, well, if you know he's going to throw so many, why don't you look for it and hit it? It's not that easy. He sells it so well with that arm action. Looks just like his fastball coming out of his hand. I mean, I faced some really good changeup pitchers in my career. John Tudor and Mario Soto, guys that lived and died with that straight changeup. And you'd go to the plate knowing you were going to get 3 or 4 of them every at bat, and you still couldn't hit it.
Well, John Jay, as he so often does, kind of punches one the other way. Schwarber picks it up along the left field line, a 1-out single. That's almost become John Jay's trademark hit.
Just kind of lead with the hands, let the barrel drag behind a little bit, make contact deep in the hitting zone, and flip it out there to left field.
Here's Goldie, popped up his first time. We mentioned this at the top of the show. His numbers against this organization are just stupid. I mean, it's amazing. 38 games, 38 RBIs with 14 home runs. And it was funny, after Goldie lined out to left field in his first at bat last night, and the inning ended with the D-backs scoring 5 runs, the Cubs official Twitter handle tweeted out, "Well, at least we got Goldie out." And then he homered in the next inning.
Take that.
Yeah, with the social media. He's ahead 2-0.
Goldie currently carrying a 23-game road on base streak.
Well, what do you throw to Paul Goldschmidt in this ballpark on 3-0? Peralta on deck.
Pitch out. Go after the next guy.
Almost 2 on 1 out for Peralta, and that road on base streak for Goldie continues. David, his first time, had a base hit up the middle. Caratini burns a mound visit here. First walk issued by Kyle Hendricks tonight. D-backs had 2 on and 2 out in the first, could not get a run home. 2 on 1 down here in the third. There's a strike, 0-1.
Well, we see it happen with Zach Greinke almost every start, where he probes that strike zone just a little off the edges to see what the umpire will give him, and it looks like Bruce Dreckman's going to go a little bit off that outside corner to the left-handed hitters, and Kyle Hendricks just keeps scooting it out there a little bit farther and a little bit farther.
Well, that's where he lives. That's where he makes his money, Kyle Hendricks. Right about 2 inches around the strike zone on all sides. Now David's worked himself into a hitter's count. 2 balls and a strike. Spits on a sinker away. Dave McKay coaching at first. Hendricks, when he has to, brings that pitch in just a little bit more where it's in the strike zone. He throws his fastball for strikes a lot. That's actually been part of the problem. He's just been leaving it in bad spots and getting pounded. He was 1-4 last month. His June ERA was over 7. Just wasn't getting the same movement on his pitches, leaving some fastballs in some bad spots. He comes back to strike out Peralta. 6 strikeouts for Hendricks.
It's just a 4-seam fastball with a little bit of tailing action. One of the statistical websites that we check every day on the opposing pitchers says everything that Kyle Hendricks throws is under hitting speed.
What is hitting speed exactly?
Well, I'm not really sure, but Kyle Hendricks apparently can't reach it and doesn't need to.
Just messes up your bat speed, I guess. Souza, a 2-out single in the first. Now up to 225. And he's really coming around back after the night off last night. He's got Jay at second, Goldie at first, and 2 outs. Souza 4 hits, 3 RBIs over the weekend against Colorado. His bat has really come around lately. Now this is a situation in which we've seen Steven press all year. And lately it's more sort of letting the game come to him a bit. He's relaxing, not trying to do too much, and it's really working. So he kind of feels like pressing like he was doing before really kind of passed him now that he's been able to settle in just a little bit, and we're seeing that pay off on the field. One and two. He's having a lot of luck locating that sinker tonight for strikes. Kind of sneaks that one back in over the strike zone, away from the right-hand batter. Tries to get Souza to chase. 2-2. Lamb would be next. Bruce Dreckman wouldn't bite. Tried to sink her away again. Now it's full 3-2.
Both runners will be in motion on the delivery right here. Find a gap, score them both.
There go the runners. That was a pretty good pitch. It worked out for the Diamondbacks. Bases full for Lamb. That appeared to catch the corner. Joe Madden certainly thinks it did. Jim Hickey, the pitching coach. Check the location right here. Looked like he snuck that sinker back over the corner. Instead, bases full, 2 down. Lamb struck out looking to end the first.
Oh yeah, my staff sent this card with you on this road trip.
Oh yeah.
Arizona Diamondbacks with the bases loaded were 2 for 5 on opening day. They were 10 for their next 72.
Ouch.
13 walks with the bases loaded, but still looking for the first grand slam.
There it is. Took a big cut at that changeup. Jake right now going through a 4 for 39 skid. Jay at third, Goldie at second, Souza at first. 25 pitch inning here for Kyle Hendricks after a long first as well. Lamb ended the first 2 on and 2 outs. Now he's up there in the third, bases loaded, 2 down. One and 2. Another changeup. Crowd senses Hendricks is a strike away. They're on their feet. Already at 70 pitches, trying to get out of this third. Got him.
back at PNC Park seems like a lifetime ago, because it is the oblique injury, which now is just a nasty word in the pitching lexicon in Major League Baseball. That's the last thing you want to hear. And Clay actually said, there's the first pitch, that's a called strike, that he lamented that injury happened while swinging the bat, which sort of confirms what we thought that day in Pittsburgh. But you might recall that he said in Miami that the next day that if he had to pitch his next turn, he would. But I get the feeling, and there's a grounder to Nick Ahmed. Looks like that'll be the first out of the inning. That changed as the days wore on, and he began to realize the severity of the injury. But I don't think I'll forget that game for a long time, guys. I don't know about you. They had the non-rain delay rain delay.
Yeah, that was a scam. When the grounds crew guys actually flooded the mound by mistake, and then also, there's a little system that's coming in. Let's just give it another half hour.
That's an hour of our lives that we'll never get back collectively for all of us who were there. But he was spectacular against the Pirates. They're a very aggressive team, as he reminded me yesterday when we talked. But he got some loud outs, some weak outs, and also some swings and misses. But that's the Buchholz that I remember back in the day with the Boston Red Sox, that day that we saw him in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, he actually got the win in that start a month ago. Here's Caratini, the catcher. 2 hits in 5 innings, 5 strikeouts. He just dominated them. And he had only thrown 53 pitches to get through those 5 innings. But it turned out, as you said, Todd, he'd strained that oblique on the swing at the plate, which is how Zach Greinke hurt himself a couple of years ago.
That's
with
right.
A big swing, and he missed 2 months.
And guys, when you consider his journey back from what he went through just to get back to the major leagues, that's just a bump in the road. But certainly that, I think, mentally armed him and equipped him to deal with that, even just the word, the oblique.
Yeah, hampered by elbow problems. He said really the final 3 seasons he was in Boston, he kind of lost his way there with the Red Sox for a while. Just was not healthy. Got dealt to the Phillies for a minor leaguer before last year. Only made 2 starts in Philadelphia. And then got hurt, wound up needing surgery for that torn flexor tendon in his right forearm. So his season was over before the middle of April. And he's made tremendous progress coming off what's been a year-long recovery and rehab. Goldie at first. Quickly 2 outs here in the 3rd.
And for Clay Buchholz, I never like to talk about money because all these guys are doing pretty good. But Clay Buchholz could have very easily walked away. He didn't have to go through that long rehab process and come back again. He's established his name in this game. He's done some amazing things. He's pitched on some great ball clubs. He's thrown a no-hitter. It would have been very easy for Clay Buchholz to just ride off into the sunset, but he felt he had more in the tank. He wanted to show people that he had more in the tank, and he is showing people he's got plenty left in the tank.
Yeah, signed with the Royals near the end of spring training in March. Made 3 minor league starts in the Kansas City organization, but since he wasn't called up to the big leagues by May 1st, he exercised an opt-out and then signed with the D-backs because he said he knew he would get a chance to pitch.
Well, he's in a rut right now. He's thrown 11 consecutive strikes.
How about that? Yeah, you mentioned that start at Pittsburgh a month ago. First pitch strikes to 14 of the 17 he faced. He's been great at getting ahead in the count all year long. Now it's 0-2. Rizzo lined out to Lamb to lead off the game for the Cubs. Mentioned Rizzo last night. Now 9 games since Joe Madden moved him into the leadoff spot. Certainly an unconventional choice. But Rizzo in those 9 games as the leadoff man is hitting .516. And he's also walked 8 times in those 9 games. Swing and a miss. Clay Buchholz. So 1, 2, 3, third. He set down 5 in a row. No score in Chicago. One of baseball's best rivalries is renewed. Chris Bryant and the Cubs take on Matt Carpenter of the Cardinals. Coverage starts 12:30 on FS1 or stream it live on the Fox Sports app. Cubs and Cardinals just played, 5 games in 4 days here last weekend. Ketel Marte leads off the 4th against Kyle Hendricks, who so far has walked 2. He struck out 7.
Breaking news, partner.
What do you got?
John Heyman reporting that the Yankees acquire Orioles left-handed reliever Zach Britton. Don't know any of the specifics or the other particulars, but he's reporting it.
So the Dodgers got Machado and the Yankees get Britton. The rich get richer. Britton, the ace left-hand reliever for the Orioles. Just foul at third. Look at you checking the social media.
Well, my phone battery's just about dead, and when I plugged it in, the message popped up there. So
well, sometimes we stumble into these things. Marte struck out on a 3-2 pitch his first time up. Hendricks, I mean, he's almost at 80 pitches now. He's really had to labor. We mentioned his start last Thursday. He lasted only 4 2/3 against the Cardinals. He threw 113 pitches in less than 5 innings. He's thrown a whole bunch here tonight as well.
Well, with 7 strikeouts through the first 3 innings of the ball game, that ties the most he's ever had through 3 innings. And you know, a strikeout takes at least 3 pitches, so that kind of lends itself to a high pitch count.
Oh, make it 8 punch outs now. He has struck out 3 of the last 4 he's faced.
You know, a lot of times when we talk about strikeouts and pitch count, I refer to Carlos Zambrano, who used to pitch here on the north side of Chicago, and he was a guy that it wasn't unusual for him to strike out 12 and walk 6 and end up with 100 pitches in the 4th inning.
Nick Ahmed flied out his first time. Just a gorgeous night here in Chicago. Everybody's out having a great time at the ballpark. It's amazing what they've done with this neighborhood. There's so much around the ballpark now. 5 years ago, you would not recognize.
No.
I mean, it's completely changed. Hotels and restaurants and bars and people everywhere. It's a giant block party here, and it's all brand shiny new.
And people don't believe me when I tell them this, but back in my playing days in the early to mid to later 80s, they used to tell us when we came into Chicago, don't hang around the ballpark after the game. It's not a great neighborhood. There's a lot of seedy characters hanging around there. Go back to the hotel if you want to go out and have dinner or have a beer or whatever. Get away from Wrigley. Now you can't get into Wrigley because the people are jammed in here.
And they bought all those buildings across the street and solved that ongoing rooftop debate, which had become a long legal problem as Russell throws out Ahmed. But you know, a few years ago there was a vacant lot across the street and an empty McDonald's, and there was a tent where they sold souvenirs. Now it's just one sort of development after another, and it's all beautiful. And the neighborhood, as you mentioned, now you've got condos all over the place.
All over the place.
Quiet, tree-lined streets. It's lovely here.
A lot of the players and coaches live within walking distance of Wrigley Field.
It's tough to get out of here, though, at night.
Oh, yeah.
Here's Alex Avila.
I mentioned Carlos Zambrano a moment ago. In his career, he had 41 starts of 120 pitches or more. Now, that was a different era in the game, and certainly Carlos Zambrano was a horse. He could throw more pitches than most, but he would get up into the hundreds quickly in a ball game.
Avila pokes one down the line. Will it stay fair? Nope, it slices foul and out of play.
The wind that we had during batting practice in the first couple innings, this ball game has died completely.
Yeah, it's very still here right now. Just a little after 8 o'clock local time. That one almost hit the hey pole down there and left. Jack Brickhouse. Well, you can go on the interweb, the www, and watch old Cub games from the late 70s when they had Buckner and Bowen and guys like that, or whoever. And there's like 6,000 people in the stands here. Some random afternoon. Now it's industrial tourism. They come in from all over the world to go to games in this ballpark.
And it's a year-round attraction. They have tours here at Wrigley Field. I mean, until you have to shovel snow off the concourse, but people just can't get enough of Wrigley Field.
They've done a wonderful job. You got to tip your cap. It is absolutely gorgeous. And they've preserved the Wrigley Field feel with all the modern stuff around it. Hendricks, a 1-2-3 4th. No score in Chicago. Here's Goldie, who homered here last night, his 22nd of the year. His career numbers with the Diamondbacks are a Geico legacy moment, part of the 20th anniversary D-backs team.
Second all-time in franchise history in all those categories, and you get the feeling it's just a matter of time.
He's a special player. He's put up some ridiculous numbers against the Cubs, as we mentioned earlier. Clay Buchholz back out there. He's retired 5 in a row.
And I jokingly mentioned in the last inning he's in a rut. He had thrown 11 straight strikes. He's thrown strikes on his last 14 pitches going into this inning.
How about that? He has walked 1, struck out 3. He's yet to give up a base hit. And Albert Almora Jr. leads off the Chicago 4th. I mentioned that the Cubs played 5 games against the Cardinals here over the weekend. In that series, Chicago hit .317 as a team. They averaged more than 6 runs per game. But in this series so far, they've scored 1 run. Another strike 1 from Buchholz. Make it strike 2. Almora's single last night, he was 1 for 3. Alex Avila behind the plate tonight. Well, so much, Bob, of pitching seems to be tempo and pace and rhythm. And I think we've seen Clay really find all 3 of those things this year in almost all of his starts. And when he does, it's pretty much been lights out.
Oh, yeah. And we talked about it earlier this season when Clay was active, that he feels his time spent in the minor league really helped him increase his rhythm. He's a guy that's been notoriously slow between pitches and slow with his windup. But as we know, in the minor leagues, they have a pitch clock. You've got to get the ball, get back up on the rubber, and throw it again. And Clay feels like that's helped his tempo out there on the mound.
Big hack by Jason Hayward.
18 straight strikes.
What's the record?
I don't know.
Man. Have to make a call to your staff back home.
I have a feeling my staff is incapacitated right now.
They do work awfully hard.
Oh. Better get somebody loose.
He threw a ball. Hayward popped up his first time. Missed upstairs. 2 balls and 1 strike. Curveball a little high.
Being told that Corey Kluber of the Indians and Joe Musgrove of the Pirates have the MLB high this year with 21 consecutive strikes.
Boy, he jammed Hayward again and got him to pop up. Goldie's got it. 7 straight set down by Buchholz since that one out walk to Happ in the second. Here's Javier Baez. Now, as you know, and as you like to mention, with Baez, you don't have to throw a strike. He's a free swinger. In fact, he swings at pitches outside the strike zone more often than any hitter in the National League. But he's still having a big all-star season. He grounded out his first time up tonight. Big cut at that one. He tried to hit that one to Highland Park. 0-1. Difference with Baez this year is he's actually hitting those bad pitches outside the zone more often than ever before. Leads the league in RBIs. There's another big hack, and it's 0-2.
Well, there's only been 1 ball hit out of the infield against Clay Buchholz so far. Back in the first inning, Albert Almora Jr. hit that line drive to David Peralta in left field. Everything else has been punch outs and ground balls and lazy pop-ups.
See if he can get Baez to hack it one more. Sure, why not? Oh, he just got a piece of it. There's a tapper. Lamb has to charge. Can't make the bare hand play, and Baez has the Cubs' first hit.
Yeah, it seems like that always happens in a 2-strike count. Jake Lamb was playing in earlier in the at-bat, but with 2 strikes, he backs up. And Baez just hits a little chopper to that left side. Jake tries to make the bare-handed play and can't come up with it.
That's just a do or die right there. Now here's Happ, who walked back in the second inning. He was the last Cub base runner. Baez will run. He's got 19 stolen bases. He's only been caught 3 times. So Buchholz, as we saw earlier when Happ had walked, will throw over to first a lot.
That's one of those things. Clay Buchholz, if he took a peek over his left shoulder there, Javier Baez was putting on his oven mitt. As Buchholz was getting ready to deliver the ball, he was only a step or 2 off the bag at first, was still adjusting the straps on that left wrist. There was no way he was going to run on that first pitch. He wasn't ready to run.
It's always something with Baez. D-backs have 3 infielders on the first base side here against Happ, the switch hitter. Checks a swing, down 0-2.
Yeah, Clay Buchholz on that first delivery to Ian Happ, looking in for the sign. You see he's over there fixing the straps on his oven mitt. Finally gets about a 2-step lead off the bag. He's not going anywhere on that first pitch. Just wasn't ready to run.
Passes out to right center and in for a base hit. Baez flying into third. Brian Butterfield stops him there and is just back in time. A pair of 2-out singles for the Cubs.
A little bit of a 2-out rally here for the Cubs, but what a good play out in right field by Steven Souza Jr. Not only does he get to this ball quickly, but makes a strong, accurate throw back into Nick Ahmed, who's ready to make the throw to the plate. Sees Baez rounded the bag too far at third and has to get back in on his belly. Nice cut off that time, nice relay.
Kyle Schwarber is the hitter. He struck out looking in the second. 2 on and 2 out. No score in the fourth. D-backs leave the shift on for Schwarber. He hits right into it. Marte is there and Buchholz strands 2. No score through 4 at Wrigley Field. All-Star sale is here. $39.99 gets you every out-of-market regular season game, live or on demand. That includes MLB At Bat Premium. That lets you watch live baseball on your favorite supported devices. Visit MLB.tv and take advantage of this big sale. A pitchers duel at Wrigley Field, and they face each other to start the fifth. Buchholz grounds out to Baez. 1 pitch, 1 out for Kyle Hendricks. Five in a row set down by Hendricks. Here's the leadoff man, John Jay.
John Jay stalling for a little bit of time to allow Clay Buchholz to get back into that dugout.
You wonder, coming off the oblique problem, if Buchholz is under orders not to let it fly at the plate. That would seem to make sense.
Well, if indeed that's the case, I'd like to see him take a few more pitches. Yeah, you swing at that first pitch and make a quick out. It almost forces John Jay to take until he gets a strike, which didn't take long.
Hendricks about to throw pitch number 90 with 1 out in the fifth. John Jay right now in a 3 for 32 skid. He had an 0 for 34 last month, so he's been a little up and down lately. And he sends that out to right center field. And that's going to roll all the way to the ivy. John Jay on the run. He's thinking 3. Here's the relay, and he is in there with a triple. A one-out triple for John Jay, his second hit tonight.
Boy, they were giving him that gap out there in right center, and he took advantage. That's a changeup grip, and Hendricks leaves it up in the zone about belt high, middle of the plate. John Jay does what you're supposed to do with a hanging changeup. He bangs it into that gap for a triple.
Well, as Torey Lovullo likes to say, when John Jay gets on base, the D-backs win. He was on in the third, was left at third base. Now he's at third again here in the fifth with one out, his fourth triple this year. And here's Goldie, who was popped up and walked.
Six hits in the ball game, 4 for the D-backs, 2 for the Cubs. All 6 hits have come with 2 strikes on the hitter.
Goldie knocks it the other way, and it's 1-0 D-backs. This is his 39th game against the Cubs. That's his 39th RBI.
Well, I've said it many times in the past. Run producers don't always hit home runs and doubles. Watch this swing by Goldie. He's got the infield in, pitch away from him. He knows if he makes solid contact, it's probably going to get through that right side. That's about as easy an RBI as Goldie's ever had right there. I've mentioned George Bell in his days with the Toronto Blue Jays. Now, he could hit 30, 40, 50 home runs a season. But with runners in scoring position, he was willing to do what we just saw Paul Goldschmidt do. Take what the defense gives you, take what the pitcher gives you.
Just hit it to the right side, get the run in. Peralta has singled and struck out. Hendricks continues to work just on the edges of the strike zone. That was an 0-1 changeup there. "95 pitches. His spot is due up second in the bottom of the fifth. Tapper out in front of home plate. Caratini's on it. Close play at first. And Chad Fairchild says they got him. Goldie in at second.
That's a pretty nice play by Victor Caratini coming out from behind the plate. Strong throw after the barehanded pickup. Almost hit David. It's another nice play at first by Anthony Rizzo to get that ball and get out of the way.
Yeah, Rizzo had his foot on the bag the whole time. So Goldie at second, 2 down, a run in. Souza has singled and walked. Steven Souza Jr. 12 games now since his recent return from the DL at the beginning of this month. And in those 12 games, he's hit about .270. He's got 8 RBIs. Been on base twice tonight. And he's a pretty patient hitter at the plate. Occasionally you'll see him get up there and jump on the first pitch, but he's a guy who will take his walks. He was top 5 in the American League in walks last year with Tampa Bay. It's one of the things D-backs liked about him. A guy who can take a base on balls. He can work counts. He's got a high on base percentage and can also hit 30 home runs. '100th pitch from Kyle Hendricks on the way. A long first, a long third. Now we'll run home here in the fifth. Hendricks stranded 2 in that first inning, left the bases loaded in the third. So he's had a lot of traffic around him. He worked 1, 2, 3 innings in both the second and the fourth. Souza, base hit. That's into right center. Here comes Goldie. Souza digging for second. He's got to hurry. And he's in there. Mike Estabrook says safe at second. 2-0 Diamondbacks. Souza on base for the third time tonight. A hustle double.
Goes down to get that fastball away from him, maybe below the knees, and drives it just over the head of Javier Baez. Yeah, not only did Souza have to hustle, but Goldie had to hustle as well. If that batter tries to go for 2, you got to make sure you get on the plate just in case that out is recorded at second. Yeah, no tag. Hand on the base right there. That's a good call. If he stayed on the base. A little bit of an explosion after he hit the bag right there.
That was a wild man slide right there, but how about the hustle from Souza, who has now single, doubled, walked, and knocked in a run. 2 runs home in the fifth. Here's Jake Lamb. Jake has struck out twice. Stranded 2 runners in the first, left the bases loaded in the third. Down 0-2.
Kyle Hendricks' spot is due up second in the bottom half of this inning, and 103 pitches already, coming off a season high 113. This is probably going to do it for Kyle Hendricks.
Bullpen is quiet for the moment for the Cubs. Hendricks bats 8th in the Chicago lineup. Souza takes off for third. Lamb squirts it the other way. He will score. RBI single, and it's 3-0 D-backs.
Jake Lamb is hoping to become a run producer like Paul Goldschmidt, and he cues one right off the end of the bat, but finds that hole on the left side of the infield with Steven Souza Jr. on the move. Yeah, take that all day long.
Four hits and 3 runs in the inning for the D-backs. Ketel Marte has struck out twice. On the ground to second for Baez. A big fifth for the Diamondbacks. They take a 3-0 lead in Chicago.
Live had a chance to talk to both Paul Goldschmidt as we focused in on him as part of the 20th anniversary celebration, and that interview is up on our social media platforms. A couple of things about it, if you don't mind. First of all, as you guys both know about Paul, he takes nothing for granted in life, therefore in baseball. Deeply honored by this. And we also just kind of flash back to 2011 and his recall. There's a called for a strike, first pitch of the inning. It really does feel like yesterday that he got called up from Double-A.
Kind of a pudgy kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure what the expectation level was back then, but I know what we're looking at right now. And there's a shot, Steve.
There's Russell, who lines that into center ahead of the pitcher spot. And now Tommy LaStella will come off the bench and bat for the pitcher, Hendricks.
And I'm going to get out of your way here to see how Clay Buchholz battles this, but a very quick follow-up to Paul Goldschmidt. I asked him about why the confines have been so friendly to him, and he did admit, you know what, it's such a great place, so much history, and the fans here and the energy, and clearly he thrives on it. And I think we saw the numbers last night. Both you and I, Steve, were saying the phrase live ball era, and I never thought I would say that in my lifetime.
Here's LaStella, 279 hitter. I saw some of that, and Goldie was all smiles. You know, he's usually pretty reserved and quiet, very humble, but he had a big grin on his face when you guys were chatting.
You want to know why?
Well, he was talking to you.
No.
No?
I hate to break the wall down here, but that was a pre-taped interview.
Wait, what?
Yeah, it happens.
You and your TV tricks.
I know that, and I will admit to you that the interview was scheduled for 5:30, a little before stretch, and then BP.
Right.
And at 4 o'clock, I was chewing the ear off of my local photographer, journalist that I was with, and there was a tap on my shoulder. And I turned around. It was Paul Goldschmidt, the only guy outside. He said, "Hey, would you like to do this now?" Just think about that and ponder some of the superstars in pro sports that we hear about every single day. And then consider the guy that we have to deal with and get to deal with every single day. Made his way down and said, "Why don't we bang this out? You guys will get it and don't have to worry about it." That's him.
And I think to his great credit, he understands that he is the face of the franchise, and there are certain responsibilities that come with that he has to burden. And he does a wonderful job with it. He really does.
And I think he also understands that everybody around the ball club has a job to do as well, and he respects that. The trainers, the conditioning coaches, the massage therapists, the translators, the broadcasters. He understands that everybody makes this thing work, and he doesn't discount just because you're not down there in uniform. He understands that Todd has a job to do, we have a job to do, and he tries to make it easy on us.
Eddie Butler's starting to get loose in the Cub bullpen as LaStella hits for Kyle Hendricks, 2-1. Double play ball. Marte, Ahmed, and they roll it.
Well, I actually cut a deal with him last night, guys, before we did the post-game interview with him. I said, "Look, I have a pre-scheduled interview with you for the pregame tomorrow about the 20th anniversary.
Yeah.
Can I double down and grab you here tonight?" And he didn't even blink. He gets that part of it, Bob. You are so correct, and not just that I might need it, but that our production crew needs it early, needs to dress it up and make it look like we want it to look.
There's Caratini, the catcher, looks at strike one.
And as we all well know, the superstars in the game always aren't as accommodating as Goldie.
That's the one great thing about this ball club, certainly in the time at least that I've been here, 6 years now. We don't have guys like that on this team.
No.
They're not welcome.
No.
And I've never run into a guy like that wearing a Diamondback uniform. Not once.
No, there were some guys in the National League West back in the day when I was covering Bob Brenly's teams that were like that. They left me standing out on the field after games, literally shaking their heads, saying no. And the team that I was covering had a guy in the left field named Luis Gonzalez who set the tone for everybody. And I still think that permeates throughout this organization to this day.
Well, even going back to the beginning of this franchise, Jerry Colangelo, as you well know, Todd, you had to be a certain character to be a Diamondback, and there were guys that stepped across the line and they were quickly gone.
Yes.
And this is a team, as we know, it's only been around for 20 years, and they know that they have to cultivate a fan base. It's a growing fan base, growing year to year, and you're building a generation of season ticket holders and fans and supporters, and that takes some public relations work, and the players all understand that. Buchholz trying to get through 5 with a 3-0 lead, 2-2 on the catcher Victor Caratini. With a pitch count between Hendricks, who pitched a terrific ball game up until the top half of this inning, and Buchholz, a dramatic difference here. Hendricks was in the 5th at 100 pitches. Buchholz is at 65. He's walked 1. He's got 4 strikeouts. Double play ball behind him to get the first 2 outs of this inning. And now he's running full on Caratini, 3-2. Rizzo, the leadoff man, on deck. Oh, man. Fastball right at the knees. Bruce Dreckman didn't give it to him. It's a 2-out walk. Second base on balls issued by Buchholz, and now Rizzo gets a chance.
Yeah, there were 2 pitches in that at bat with 2 strikes on Caratini that showed up as strikes in our K zone there, but did not get the call on either one of them.
Alex Avila making a case. Here are the 2 pitches to which you referred. That's a strike, and that's a strike.
Not that one. The one after that one.
So Rizzo now 0 for 2.
Every night.
Well, what can you do?
Well, I have a suggestion.
Yeah, I know. Your case gets stronger by the day, unfortunately. I hate the thought of it, but it's becoming hard to argue against it. They're doing their best. There's no doubt about that.
Well, according to that logic, I shouldn't have gotten released by the Toronto Blue Jays because I was doing my best. It wasn't very damn good, but I was doing the best I could. But the Blue Jays didn't quite see it that way.
Well, we're still trying to get your number retired. Letter writing campaign is well underway. One and 2. There's that cutter from Buchholz, which has been a great pitch for him all year long.
Wow, that sounded fast.
Echoing in there. Buchholz oftentimes likes to go to that changeup off the cutter and try and get somebody to chase. Let's see what he's got for Rizzo here on 1 and 2. Popped it up. Shift is on. Ahmed behind second. Play Buchholz, 5 scoreless in Chicago. It's 3-0 Diamondbacks. and get this t-shirt courtesy of Gila River Hotels and Casinos. Gates at Chase Field open up at 1:30. The annual alumni game presented by Sanderson Ford. Visit dbacks.com. Just activated today. Right-hander Eddie Butler, just his 7th appearance of the year, on to start the 6th.
Eddie Butler, once he delivers this pitch, will be the 21st different guy to pitch for the Cubs in 7 games since the All-Star break.
Wow. Some of those are catchers and first basemen. Ahmed 0 for 2, looks at strike 1. Yeah, the pitching has been, for a team that has the most wins in the National League, very inconsistent for the Cubs this year, both in the rotation and the bullpen. Lester's kind of been up and down. We've talked about Hendricks' struggles. Quintana's been a little shaky. Darvish has been hurt. They're without their closer right now. Brandon Morrow is injured. But they're on top of the NL Central by 2.5 over Milwaukee. Ahmed gets one by Russell. A base hit for Nick starts the 6th.
Anytime the D-backs score 5 runs or more, Taco Bell is giving away 3 free crunchy beef tacos with the purchase of a large drink between 4 and 6 the following day at participating locations.
Boy, Nick has really been a productive offensive player lately. A chance for Avila now. Alex has struck out, grounded out 0 for 2. Buchholz's spot is up next. He's out there in the on-deck circle right now. There is no one warming up in the Diamondback bullpen.
Boy, this would be a great time to bunt that ball to the third base side. Put 2 runners on for Clay Buchholz to bunt into scoring position. I mean, anything bunted relatively hard to that left side away from Eddie Butler is going to be a base hit.
Yeah, the Cubs have the shift on now. There is no one over there at all. You see where Happ is, the third baseman, near the right field line.
I was talking to Joe Madden before the ball game about that very subject. You know, he hears from a lot of the fans from time to time and occasionally from the sports writers about, why don't you guys bunt against that shift? Why do you just keep hitting ground balls into the shift? Some guys just can't do it. I mean, you'd like to believe that everybody in a major league uniform can do whatever you ask them to do on the field, but the reality is Alex Avila is not a bunter. He doesn't bunt for base hits. He doesn't put down sacrifice bunts very often. Playing in the American League most of his career, it's just not part of his arsenal as an offensive player.
Well, what about the idea of just kind of chopping or punching one over there with a sort of a half check swing?
Well, we've seen it happen accidentally, but I don't know if that's something that a guy could go up there with the idea of, you know, making soft contact to the left side. But it just seems so easy from up here. But I've been in the batter's box before. It's not that easy.
And with Avila and Buchholz working on a shutout right now through 5, you're not going to break up that duo. So you wouldn't hit for Avila here because you want to keep him back there for Buchholz the way Clay is rolling. So if you're wondering, well, why not pinch hit somebody that could bunt? You've got 3 catchers. You don't take the starting catcher out of the game with a 3-0 lead in the 6th inning.
Yeah, my point was, if they're going to give you that bunt base hit to the left side with the pitcher on deck, it would set up a potential for a big inning. Get 2 guys on in front of Buchholz. Ideally, he does get the bunt down. Now you've got 2 guys into scoring position for the top of the order.
2-2 on Alex. He'll check Ahmed at first.
I mean, when you think about it, we watch batting practice every day. The guys go into cage, bunt one to the first base side, bunt one to the third base side, and then go to hack. That's it. That's the only bunting practice most of the offensive players get. I mean, the Gerard Dysons and the John Jays of the world will work on it a little more in the cage. Maybe go out on the field during batting practice, work on it a little bit more. But most of the guys put down 2 bunts and then start hacking.
Well, Alex has run it full 3-2 with Buchholz on deck. Ahmed at first. Fly ball headed toward the left field corner. Schwarber's over there, and he can't get it. It's a fair ball. Ahmed had to hold up. He's at second. It's a long single for Avila. There's no foul ground whatsoever in these corners. So the D-backs have 2 on and nobody out. Schwarber out there, some troubles in left.
That ball slicing away from him the entire time, and he's played out there enough to know that he's getting really close to that barrier. He actually kind of overran that ball a little bit. Fortunately for the D-backs, lands in fair territory, putting runners at first and second for Clay Buchholz.
Now Madden wants a word with Bruce Dreckman. Mark Carlson, the crew chief, coming over from third. Well, you mentioned Schwarber is not exactly a gazelle out there.
Boy, and this is not an easy outfield to play. Ron Santo, the late great Ron Santo, used to say that right field here at Wrigley, especially in day games with the wind blowing, was as tough as any outfield position in all of baseball. Now, you might get some argument from the Giants with the wind blowing out there at AT&T Park, but not an easy proposition playing right field or left field in this ballpark.
Now Buchholz can bunt, gets down a good one. There's no one at third, as Happ had to come in, so they get the out at first and the runners move up. Nicely done, Clay Buchholz. Butler turned to look to third. There was no one there. He only had one play.
That looked like a little bit of a defensive mix-up that time by the Cubs. Both corner infielders were kind of half charging. Rizzo was far enough in that he was out of position to get back to cover the bag. Happ made the only play he could make right there to get the out at first base, and now we have the situation we've been talking about this entire inning. Second and third with the top of the order coming up.
Infield in for the Cubs. John Jay has singled, tripled, and scored 2 for 3. Sends a fly ball out to right for Hayward. Ahmed's at third, and here we go. He's in there, and it's 4-0 Diamondbacks. RBI for John Jay.
Now we know that Hayward's got a mantle full of gold gloves at home. He's got a throwing arm to match. Puts that one on a hop right on the money, but Nick Ahmed just too quick. Gets in the back door, hand on the plate.
Just snuck that hand in there behind Caratini. So a 4-0 lead. Avila at second, 2 down for Goldie, who has walked, singled, and scored a run. He's got an RBI. D-backs fans might recall Eddie Butler as a Colorado Rocky. He was a first-round pick by the Rockies back in the 2012 draft out of Radford University in Virginia. Was a starter for the most part in Colorado. This is his second season with the Cubs.
Now Butler just called up today to offer some reinforcements to that Cubs bullpen. Luke Farrell, last night's starter, sent back to the minor leagues. I'll tell you, in Luke Farrell's defense, I was talking to some of the Cubs people down on the field. He had gotten hot twice 2 days before his start and once before last night. So, you know, being a young pitcher, the manager tells you to take the ball and go out there and pitch. You take the ball and go out there and pitch. But the reality is he probably wasn't physically ready to take that ball last night, and it showed in that first inning.
He had a 5-run first. He lasted only 3 1/3 in a spot start for Joe Madden. Goldie ahead, 2 balls and 1 strike. Lays off a fastball away, 3-1.
I know it would be a righty on lefty matchup to put Goldie on and face David Peralta, but the damage Goldie has done against the Cubs, especially in this ballpark, you wonder why they're even pitching to him here with a base open. Make it hurt. Ooh.
Oh, wow. Got a fastball right down the middle.
That foul ball hit everybody but the guy in the pink hat. Looked like it went right off the top of the helmet of Caratini and off the left arm of Bruce Dreckman back there behind the plate.
Bank shot. We don't have Marlins man here today. The game's not nationally televised, so he bailed. That's the pink hat guy.
Yeah.
And his posse.
He's got his crew with him tonight.
Yeah. Rolling into Wrigley with the pink hat gang. Pink hats I thought were reserved for Boston. 3-2 to Goldie. Here it is. Missed upstairs. A chance for Peralta. Second walk for Goldie tonight. David singled in the first. He's 1 for 3. Peralta very consistent this year since the end of May, hitting over 320. 2 on and 2 out. A run is in. Makes you wonder. The Cubs certainly have enough talent to win this division. More wins than any team in the National League, but you wonder about the pitching in a postseason series. Do they have those guys that can win those big games both in the rotation and the bullpen? I think that's a big question mark for this team in October. The pitching has been inconsistent all year for Joe Maddon and Jim Hickey. Here's the 1-1. Lays off a fastball well outside. 2-2. Long inning for Butler. Souza's had another big night. He would be next. D-backs a game and a half behind LA for the NL West lead. Right now the Dodgers in Philadelphia tied up 4-4 in the 8th inning. Rockies are home against the Astros. The Giants are at Seattle. Eddie Butler trying to survive the 6th inning. Pitch number 25 in the inning on the way. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 on, 2 outs. Just up and away. It's full. Tell you what, with the way Steven Souza Jr.'s been going lately, let's give him a chance with the bases loaded.
Diamondbacks still looking for their first grand slam of the season.
Souza has singled, walked. He's got an RBI double. There go the runners. Peralta hits one in the air, left field. Schwarber backing up. He's got room, and he's got it in the ivy. But the Diamondbacks add a run. They lead the Cubs 4-0. CenturyLink. We got a couple of day games coming up, BB. We'll be in action under the sun tomorrow. A 1:20 local start, 11:20 a.m. back home in the great state of Arizona. Matchup of left-handers. Robbie Ray versus John Lester. D-backs live pregame show comes your way at 10:30 a.m. It's Breakfast with the Diamondbacks tomorrow on Fox Sports Arizona. Albert Almora Jr. leads off the sixth so far for Clay Buchholz. 5 scoreless innings. And Almora angry with himself. He skies that one into shallow center. Ahmed camps out underneath. One away quickly. Hey, we want to give a big shout out to Dante. Dante is a huge D-back fan, season ticket holder. He's an active guy on the Twitter. And Dante and his wife Lisa right now watching the D-backs game at St. Joseph's Hospital, waiting for the birth of their son.
Nice.
So Dante and Lisa, best of luck. Thanks for watching the D-backs and supporting the ball club all year long, and we wish you all the best. That's a great news.
Dante and Lisa, make him a lefty. Left-handed pitchers are always in needed.
Tie his arm behind his back or something. But our big shout out to Dante and Lisa. Premature congratulations.
Yeah.
Watching the game in the hospital at St. Joseph's. Jason Hayward 0 for 2. I think Brenly as a first name has a lovely ring to it.
There are several Brenleys running around the world.
Really?
Right now. Yeah. Back in my days playing with the Giants, there was at least 3 people I know of that named their daughters Brenly. One with an I, the other 2 with a Y.
This is hit hard out to left. Peralta will watch it go into the basket. Jason Hayward, his 7th, puts the Cubs on the board. A hard line drive over the head of Peralta. Boy, Hayward is really picking up the offensive pace. He didn't give them anything really the first 2 years, but he's become a productive player here this season.
I had a chance to have a long conversation with a former teammate of mine, now the hitting coach for the Cubs, Chili Davis, about Hayward and what has transpired this season, what has changed. And Chili said he just made up his mind. He was tired of not being good.
There's the celebration in the Cub bullpen.
Yeah, Chili Davis, 2 days after he got the job as the Cubs hitting instructor, got a call from Jason Hayward, said, let's go to work.
How about that?
Chili met him over in Mesa at their complex 2 or 3 days a week. Spent as much time talking as they did hitting. And Chili refuses to take any of the credit for it, but sometimes you just strike a nerve with a coach that says the right things at the right time, and it certainly has worked out for Jason Hayward this year.
And that's a player, Hayward, making that call, sitting on a $184 million contract. That's pretty impressive. He's not sitting back counting the money. 1-1 on Baez, who is grounded out in single tonight. 4-1 game here, bottom 6.
Talking about having babies, Chili Davis is about to become a grandfather. His son Charles Jr. and his wife are expecting their baby early in August.
Another big hack by Baez.
Yeah,
is that where Chili comes from, Charles?
No, actually, it's a long story, but Chili was born in Jamaica.
Okay.
And back when he was a youngster, like all the kids in the neighborhood, when it was time for a haircut, they would literally put a soup bowl on their head and cut around it. And he got the nickname Chili because of the chili bowl on top of his head.
That's a good story. Boy, he was a big, strong guy when he was playing.
Switch hitter, had pop from both sides of the plate. It was very unfair when he came up from the minor leagues, and this happens all around baseball, but you're a center fielder for the San Francisco Giants. You're the next Willie Mays.
Yeah.
That's pretty high expectations on a young player, and Chili actually came up through the Giants system as a catcher.
Stick him out in center field in Candlestick. Go get him on that turf with the wind.
Woo.
Oh, boy. Ian Happ. Happ right at Marte. Look at that quick glove hand. Ketel Marte. He makes it look so easy. What a play at second. Ketel Marte cleaning up, but the Cubs get a run. It's 4-1 Diamondbacks. Off Kenta Maeda in the 7th inning, ties it up 4-4. The Dodgers and the Phillies in the cradle of freedom. Phillies up bottom 9.
Jorge Alfaro, my new favorite player.
Kenta Maeda can't believe it. You're not supposed to give up home runs until it's the postseason for the Dodgers. Wait, what? Souza leads off the 7th. He's had another big night. He has singled, he's walked, he's got an RBI double, he scored a run. Our Chaz Roberts air conditioning and plumbing cool plays of the game. Souza with a single in the 1st and a hustle RBI double in the 5th.
And sandwiched a walk in between, had a real good night at the plate.
Later came around and scored on Jake Lamb's RBI single. Make it 3-0 Diamondbacks. Ahmed had a sac, or John Jay had a sac fly, make it 4-zip. Cubs on the board with a Hayward homer. That's out of play, 1-2. You have to see Steven Souza Jr. in person to realize he's an enormous human being. He's bigger than Goldie. 6'4", 225. I mean, he's built like a tight end.
I think it's deceiving because he hits out of that crouch, much like Goldie does. He gets a lot of bend in the knees.
Last night we had 40,859. Tonight 40,869. 10 more fans showed up. Full count on Souza, 3-2. Steven Souza Jr. out of Everett, Washington. He's a Washington State guy, Pacific Northwest, just like Jake Lamb. 3rd round pick out of high school by the Nationals back in 07. And Souza knocks one into left center field. He's on board for the 4th time tonight. And he's hustling into second one more time. And this time they got him. Check on Baez. Souza snuck in there his last time up with an RBI double. Didn't quite make it that time. Looked like Baez got the raw end of this deal.
Boy, what a pick. That's a long hop.
Got that foot right in the knee.
Yeah, the left inside of his left knee just got blasted. I'll tell you, Albert Almora Jr. is a gold glove waiting to happen out there in center field. I'm not so sure that was a good time to challenge right there by Steven Souza Jr.
Baez seems to be okay. 8-4 on the putout after the base hit. Here's Jake Lamb, an RBI single his last time. Cubs will put the shift on. I saw Almora in the fall league several years ago, and you could tell right away that he was going to be something special out there in the outfield. That's a great thing about the Arizona Fall League. You get out there, you see some of these guys, and then 2-3 years later, maybe even sooner than that, they're highlight reel players in the big leagues.
Morris trying to get second base umpire Mike Estabrook to move over a step one direction or the other. He's kind of blocking the hitting zone, trying to wave in there, and Estabrook is looking out into the bleachers. Didn't see him waving that time.
Cubs have right-hander Jesse Chavez warming up in their bullpen. Butler wanted a specific pitch with 2 strikes. He got the one he wanted. Lamb strikes out for the 3rd time tonight. 2 down in the 7th.
Yeah, you're going to see a 2-seamer, a cutter, and a 4-seam fastball to start this sequence. Missed badly up high. There's a cutter for a strike. There's a 4-seamer. Curveball fouled off down the first base side, and then just dots that outside corner with another two-seam fastball. Our Nationwide Vision eye on the game.
Ketel Marte 0 for 3. Rizzo with a nice pick at first. Stretch time at Wrigley Field. It's 4-1 D-backs. Season ticket package. You'll get guaranteed seats to all the big matchups next year for the lowest price possible, and you can design your own plan. We'll work with you. Come down, pick out your seats, talk to somebody. They'll get you the hookup. 602-462-4600 or log on to dbacks.com/tickets. Clay Buchholz at 80 pitches. Back out to start the bottom of the 7th inning. Kyle Schwarber leads it off for the Cubs. He's 0 for 2. 80 pitches, 57 strikes. Buchholz has walked 2 and struck out 4. Buchholz made 1 rehab start coming off the oblique injury. That was last Thursday for Class A Visalia. Gave up 2 runs, 4 hits. He went 6 innings. And Buchholz in that start for the Rawhide, 78 pitches, 53 strikes, so he's over that total now. Torey Lovello telling us before the game today he anticipated somewhere around 95 to 100 for Buchholz tonight. So he's got some wiggle room here to get through the 7th, but behind on Schwarber 2-0.
We mentioned in last night's ball game, the Cubs have a 80-run differential over their opponents from the 7th inning on in ball games. They've had 32 come from behind wins this season, so now's when you really have to bear down.
There's a strike. Action now in the Diamondback bullpen. Left-hander Andrew Chafin will start to loosen up. That was the other thing that Torey said. Look, the bullpen is totally loaded and ready to go. Everybody's rested back there. So they'll let Clay go for a while, but there's no need to push it if he gets in trouble. That's Goldie's got it at first. What a play. Took extra bases away from Kyle Schwarber down the first base line. Wow.
Just a leap from his position right there. Clay Buchholz does his job, get over there.
Now he's killing the Cubs defensively.
That was a sure double down in the right field corner. If Goldie doesn't make that play, maybe more the way this ballpark plays out in that right field corner. He saved at least 2 right there.
That ball takes some kind of a funny carom out there. That ball was smoked. Russell has struck out and singled. Pitcher spot up next. Ben Zobrist in the on deck circle. Buchholz trying to get through 7. Clay Buchholz is doing Clay Buchholz-like things tonight. Here's another look as that one bites Russell. Buchholz, since he's arrived in Arizona, has made 7 starts and allowed 1 or no earned runs in 5 of them. And he's only given up 1 run here tonight. Torey Lovullo going over some matchup possibilities with Jerry Nair and the bench coach. 1-2 on Addison Russell. Pitch number 90 coming up. Zobrist on deck, Chafin warming up in the bullpen. Two and two. Zobrist a switch hitter. Most of his power from the left-hand side. Right there. Dotted it for the strikeout. 2 down.
Take a look at that sequence by Clay Buchholz, starting him off with a cutter for a called strike up in the zone. Foul ball on a 2-seam fastball. Then he misses badly with a changeup right there. Cutter fouled off. That 2-seamer off the plate inside, and then throws the same 2-seamer on the other side of the plate for a called strike 3. Our Nationwide Vision eye on the game.
Zobrist is the hitter. Batting in the pitcher's spot, which is 8th for Joe Madden tonight. Zobrist was 0 for 3 last night. Just beyond the grasp of Ahmed up the middle. Zobrist, a 2-out single. Here comes Caratini.
I'll tell you, it got through for a base hit, but you couldn't have been positioned any better than Nick was on that ball. He was right there, just couldn't get up high enough to corral that line drive.
Archie Bradley joins Andrew Chafin in the bullpen. Caratini is grounded out and walked. That subterranean bullpen they've built here out underneath the stand.
And you may ask yourself, well, if Andrew Chafin's warmed up, why not bring him in to face the lefty right here? Well, I'll tell you why, because you probably get Wilson Contreras or Chris Bryant to pinch hit for their backup catcher, Victor Caratini.
Keep those right-hand bats on the bench. Don't bring in the lefty. But you've got the left-hander ready for Rizzo should Caratini reach.
Because they will not pinch hit for Rizzo.
Well, with Joe Madden.
Yeah, you never know.
One more time, just over the head of Ahmed. Again in perfect position. Just about a few inches too high for Nick, and a pair of 2-out singles for the Cubs brings the tying run to the plate and Anthony Rizzo. Here comes Torey Lovullo. Clay Buchholz was sensational here tonight. 6 2/3. He will leave responsible for 2 runners, holding a 4-1 lead. Back after this.
20% off all pizzas at regular menu price using promo code DBAX50 at papajohns.com.
Well, a pair of 2-out singles against Clay Buchholz brings the tying run to the plate here in the 7th inning for Chicago. The leadoff man, Anthony Rizzo. Here's the sheriff, Andrew Chafin, his 50th appearance this year. Rizzo tonight 0 for 3. He's a .250 hitter against left-hand pitchers this season, including a couple of home runs.
5 previous plate appearances against Andrew Chafin. He's 0 for 3 with a couple of walks. Boy, the D-backs starting pitching in this series. Patrick Corbin last night. Clay Buchholz tonight. 13 2/3 innings. They've given up 2 runs so far and struck out 14.
Now can Chafin throw that slider for strikes or get Rizzo to chase? Fastball misses up. Rizzo, a very patient hitter. Nine games as the leadoff man. He's walked 8 times. Another fastball for a strike. 1-1. Zobrist is the runner at second. Caratini's at first. The excuse me check swing foul. That bit of Vila back there. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Another fastball. 3 straight fastballs from Chafin. So he's got him set up for that slider if he wants it. Rizzo chokes up a bit with 2 strikes, hanging out over the plate. There's the slider, missed with it. It's 2-2. Almora would be next. Little tapper foul. Carl Edwards Jr. starts to warm up on the bullpen along with Jesse Chavez. 2-2 on Anthony Rizzo. Foul ground. Lamb giving chase. And he runs out of room. It's in the Cub dugout. Ran right into Chili Davis down there.
Always hurts a little bit more sliding on that warning track than it does sliding on the base pass. It's not the same material that they use around the field as they do on the field. There's all kinds of pebbles and rocks and sunflower seeds and gumballs and all kinds of stuff out there.
He slid into a gumball. One more time on 2-2. 2 on and 2 out. bounced a slider up there, and now it's full. This will get the runners started from first.
I mean, usually a catcher goes down to his shin guards to block a ball in the dirt. That time it hit so far in front of home plate, Alex Avila had to stand up to block that ball.
Shift is on. Ahmed in the same spot he's been this whole inning, right behind the bag at second. 8th pitch of the at-bat right here. Runners on the move. Missed with a low fastball, and the bases are full. Almora is the hitter. Bradley ready in the bullpen. Here comes Torey Lovello. Chafin couldn't get his man. And Torey going to check in with Bruce Dreckman. Back after this.
Fastball. That one a check swing foul, and then 4 consecutive sliders here. First one in the dirt, a foul ball right there. Another foul ball. That's the one Jake Lamb almost got to. Really spiked that slider and then misses down low with a 96-mile-an-hour heater.
And now Archie Bradley inherits a bases loaded 2-out jam. He will face Albert Almora Jr., who is 0 for 3. The numbers on Archie this year, appearance number 49 as they bring in the beer to the bases full. Almora began the game tied for the National League lead in hitting at .321, even with Nick Markakis of the Braves. He has lined out, struck out, popped up, bases full, 2 down.
He's been very aggressive early in counts so far in his first 3 at-bats tonight. Watch that first pitch.
Fastball's a strike, 0-1. Chris Owings takes over at third for Jake Lamb. Double switch. Owings will bat 9th. Pitcher spot now 5th in the D-backs order. Zobrist at third. Caratini at second, and Rizzo at first. Oh, 2. Those pitches are right there.
Boy, nearly unhittable strikes right out there on the edge of the outside corner at 96.
Joe Madden checking the replay. Those are strikes, Joe.
I got in trouble for doing that when I was managing the Diamondbacks. We had a camera guy that was positioned similar to that one.
This is
Heads
what
up,
it looks
this
like.
coming right at you. Look out in the living room. Oh my.
Yikes.
We had a cameraman, Duke Thorne, that was right there by where I sat in the dugout, and I used to peek over every now and then and look at the monitor to check a replay, and I got barked at a couple times from umpires.
Swing and a miss. Archie Bradley puts out the fire and leaves them loaded. Still 4-1 Diamondbacks.
Happen again. Some fascinating comments in the Twitterverse late into the night last night, as you can imagine, from Cubs Nation. But it's over. It'll never happen again.
We'll see.
Yeah, I know.
Jesse Chavez, the right-hander, on to start the 8th. Nick Ahmed leads it off. Chavez just acquired by the Cubs from Texas last week for a minor leaguer. Made his Cubs debut Saturday. Pitched Sunday as well. This is skied and out of play. Now, Todd, is Todd still with us?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
I understand you were almost killed by a foul ball a minute ago.
Yeah, I never saw it. I heard it after it hit behind my head.
Wow.
My cameraman, hi.
Hello.
I don't even think we found the ball.
Really?
There's a clump of dirt in my hair.
Look at this. This is what it looks like coming at you. Wow.
Memo to self: stop looking at your iPhone.
Ahmed. Well, it's a good lesson for everyone. Looks at strike 3. Yeah, you were right in the line of fire there.
Holy smokes. We don't know where the ball is. You guys see it up there anywhere? We'll find that thing.
You know, back in the day, Todd, when we would be sitting in the dugout and a foul ball would come whistling in there like that and somebody would get hit, everybody would yell, "Ugly finder."
Wow.
Thank you.
That's harsh.
Thank you very much, Bob. And congratulations, by the way, on being the manager of the 20th anniversary team.
Wow, nicely played.
Thank you.
But next time, please throw yourself in front of the equipment.
Yes, please.
Do what I can.
There's Avila, who singled his last time up. Saw Zobrist takes over at second. Baez comes out. Pitcher spot now 4th for the Cubs.
Yeah, which is really unusual because the pitcher spot is now up second in the 8th inning, in the bottom of the 8th inning. But Baez, you'll recall, that play at second base when Steven Souza Jr. went in hard to the left knee of Baez. Maybe just a precautionary move to get him out of the ball game.
Still have Bryant and a couple of other options on the bench. for that spot, which is due up second in the bottom half of this inning. 0-2 on Avila. They're still playing, by the way, in Philly. 4-4 Dodgers and Phillies. Getting deep into extra innings. Cubs have the shift on against Avila. Chavez had put up pretty good numbers in Texas this year. 3-1 with a ERA right at 3.5 and just over 56 innings. 50 strikeouts against just 12 walks. He's been around. He's pitched for just about everybody. Pirates, Braves, Royals, Blue Jays, A's, Dodgers, Angels, Rangers, now the Cubs.
Yeah, these two have seen each other before. Alex Avila with 10 at bats against Chavez. 3 hits. 2 of them left the ballpark.
They've lost their plate umpire in that Dodger-Philly game. Tom Hallion was the plate umpire, got hit by a foul ball, finished up the inning, and then had to leave the ball game. So they're already in extras. And now they'll go with 3 umpires. We hope Tom Hallion is okay. Avila putting up a fight here. Eighth pitch of the at-bat coming up from right-hander Jesse Chavez. Got him. Chavez comes in, strikes out Ahmed and Avila. Now he'll face Chris Owings.
Chase a fastball up in the zone that time. It was a 2-seamer up in the zone. That's probably not where he wanted to throw it, but got a good result that time for Chavez.
First at bat tonight for CO, who was double switched into the ball game at third. 198, 3 homers. CO's hit safely in 4 straight games, 6 of his last 7. Base is empty, 2 down here in the 8th. Chavez still throws that hard sinker. Elevated that time, 1-2. Chance to strike out the side, one of the newest Cubs. Got that sinker in the cutter. Pitches that move in 2 different directions, both fastballs. Cubs in the bottom half of this inning, and will have Hayward, a pinch hitter, and Happ 3, 4, and 5. After Archie Bradley got the final out of the 7th. Still 2-2 on CO. John Jay would be next. That's called strike 3. Chavez comes in, strikes out the side. Bottom 8 coming up. 4-1 Diamondbacks. tonight. 1 run in 6 2/3. Steven Souza Jr. has had a big night at the plate. He's reached base 4 times. Goldie's walked twice, got an RBI single, and Archie Bradley got out of a bases loaded mess in the 7th by striking out Albert Almora Jr. And now Archie is back out there to start the 8th. It's Jason Hayward. Pitcher spot is behind him. Wilson Contreras has come out in the on deck circle. And then it's Ian Happ, 3, 4, and 5 here in the Chicago 8th. Hayward homered his last time up. A line drive out to left off Buchholz, the only run that Clay gave up tonight. Here's the thing about Archie Bradley in this situation. Torlabello calls him up downs. You get a guy up, he sits down, gets up again. When Archie comes out, he's at a very high energy level, and he's got to sit down and then get that energy level back up as if he just came into the game. And that's not always the easiest thing to do. He works with the modulator off and cranked up to 100 watts or whatever it is, and he's got to get that going again here. No one warming up in the Diamondback bullpen. It's quiet and dark down there. There's a fastball. It's 2-2 on Hayward. Contreras set to hit for the pitcher after the double switch with Zobrist. Fastball misses down and away. It's full 3-2. Hayward is a guy that lately has walked more than he struck out. He will not chase a bad pitch up there. Got him. Just buried that fastball down and away at 96.
Boy, Archie commanding that fastball tonight. He's made some really good pitches against some good hitters right out there on the outside corner. High velocity fastballs.
Now Contreras is announced as the pinch hitter. He was behind the plate as the starting catcher last night. Was 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts. He was simply overmatched by Patrick Corbin's slider. He won't see any sliders from Archie Bradley. Fastball's in, 1-0.
Yeah, Contreras really had a rough game last night, not only at the plate but behind the plate. Some of the writers that cover the Cubs on a regular basis said they see that from time to time from Wilson Contreras, just not engaged. I mean, we know from past experience, if he wants to be engaged in the ball game, he will get engaged in every play.
Oh yeah. You remember that Goldie 3 home run game here last August. Contreras homered twice in that game and knocked in 6 runs. He was the Cubs star in what turned out to be a 10-8 D-backs win through several rain delays. A long afternoon here. 2-1 is swung on. Owings at third. Now it's Ian Happ. Cub bullpen. Steve Cishek, the submarine right-hander. D-backs have the top of the order due up in the 9th. Jay Goldie Peralta. Happ has walked and singled. He's 1 for 2. Ian Happ hot lately, hitting about .350 in his last 25 games. Chases a fastball outside. It's 0-2. Archie's got that motor cranked back up. Fastball in. Lays off upstairs. 1-2. Happ is a switch hitter. He can homer from either side of the plate. They go away. Lays off. 2-2. Schwarber on deck. Got him! He dotted the fastball on the corner. He punched out 3 of the 4 he faced. Still 4-1 D-backs.
Of a large drink.
9th inning here at Wrigley Field. New pitcher for Chicago, the submarine right-hander, Steve Cishek. A 1.99 ERA, his 49th appearance. This is a guy with more than 120 career saves. Now working as a setup man in the Cub bullpen. Some changes defensively. Wilson Contreras remains in the game behind the plate. Caratini replaces Ian Happ at third. And so Happ comes out at the ball game pitcher spot, now 5th in the Cubs order. John Jay, Goldie, Peralta due up here, top of the order in the 9th.
This is something you rarely see in an American League game. Guys changing positions in mid-game, sometimes a couple of times. Both catchers in the game at the same time, one at third base, one behind the plate. American League, you just run your 9 hitters out there and go get them.
It's a lot more fun this way, that's for sure. Much more interesting brand of baseball. Jay's had a good night. He has singled, tripled. He's got an RBI. He scored a run. I know there's increased momentum for the universal DH as Brad Boxberger starts to get loose, but it'd be a shame to lose the National League style of baseball. It's a lot more interesting.
Well, the next step after that would be just turn everything into a home run derby.
Well, we're almost kind of there anyway.
Yeah.
Which is too bad. That's another problem.
I talked to a lot of the Chicago beat writers today, and they were all bemoaning the fact that the hit and run is almost non-existent in the game. Stolen bases are rare. Sacrifice bunts are extinct.
Now it's all about launch angle and exit velocity. As Buck Showalter always says, just run 9 big hairy guys out there and let them swing for the fences. Fouled away.
And it always seems to gain more momentum, the idea of a DH in both leagues, when a pitcher gets hurt trying to be an athlete.
There's something to be said for that.
Oh, come on, you can't run 90 feet. You're a pitcher. That's all you do is throw one day and run the other 4.
Boy, Cishek, that one caught him. And they retire Jay to start the 9th. Well, Commissioner Manfred got asked a lot about the universal DH at the All-Star break, and Tony Clark, the head of the union, as well, and they said there has been some sort of increased momentum in that regard. Goldie has walked twice. He's got an RBI single. But that's something that needs to be collectively bargained down the road somewhere.
And we've seen it happen in basketball and football. I mean, it used to be 3 yards in a cloud of dust. You got to establish the running game. Well, that's changed drastically in football, and in basketball, it's all about 3-pointers and slam dunks.
Don't get me going on basketball.
Yeah. So it just stands to reason that baseball is going to adapt to their customers.
The 3-point line destroyed basketball for me. Nobody
move it back another 10 feet.
That was always George Carlin's solution to make basketball more interesting. Half-court shots, 50 points.
Ooh, there you go.
And everybody can jump over the backboard. Nobody can hit an 18-foot jump shot. It's too bad. Oh, that one a little low, but it's strike 2.
I think Steve Cishek thought that was strike 3. He was hoping it was strike 3 the way he walked off the mound there.
Or ball 4, one or the other.
Yeah.
Bruce Dreckman got fooled that time. Swing and a miss. 2 down in the 9th. Here's Peralta.
And he got a called strike on the pitch before that wasn't a strike, but goes front door with that slider that time. Goldie swings right through it. Look at the glove. Manuel Domingos. To find out the story behind that.
Got to be one. Peralta dunks that into left center. And David has a 2-out single, his second hit tonight. Maybe that's the name he uses at the hotel.
That could be. A lot of the players use an alias when they stay in a hotel on the road to avoid local radio hosts and the occasional heckling fan.
Well, here's Souza. He singled, walked, had an RBI double and scored a run. And in the 7th singled, but it was thrown out trying to stretch that one into a double. So 3 for 3 with a walk.
With both bullpens racking up the strikeouts tonight, that's the 8th punch out by a relief pitcher in this game. Ouch.
Souza aboard for the 5th time. 2 on and 2 out, pitcher spot, and Descalso will be the hitter.
I wouldn't think that's any kind of retaliation for that slide at second base. There was nothing dirty about it. It was just an unfortunate set of circumstances that drew Baez right into the sliding Steven Souza Jr.
And Baez left his knee exposed right in front of the bag. So there was certainly no intent there on Steven's part. Conference time at the mound as Descalso is hitting for the pitcher. Boxberger warming up in the bullpen. So a chance for Daniel here, 2 on and 2 down, 262, 9 homers. Well, now we got something going on between Souza and Rizzo. And the Cubs defenders are coming over near first base. Torey Lovello hustling out there from the D-back dugout. And this is something that we've seen with Steven a number of times already this year.
Yeah, maybe a little bit too much.
It tends to get in the way of things from time to time. Can't see from that shot who he's barking at.
Pretty sure it's Rizzo.
Chad Fairchild, first base ump coming over. Yeah, that is Rizzo.
That should make the next 2 days a little more interesting.
You think? He's just got to learn to rein that in a little bit. He plays with a very high motor, but sometimes he gets in his own way with that stuff. Descalso now. Daniel as a pinch hitter this year, 8 for 23. That's about a .350 batting average. 2-0. Yoshi Hirano has joined Brad Boxberger in the D-back bullpen. Boxberger ready, Yoshi up as well. Mike Fetters, the bullpen coach. Two on and two out here in the ninth. This is low, it's full. Ketel Marte, the on-deck hitter for the D-backs. This will get the runners started. Peralta from second and Souza from first. Cubs infield back on the grass with the exception of Caratini at third. There go the runners.
Typical Daniel Descalso at bat. 8th pitch upcoming.
We'll keep going. Boy, you know, we say it all the time. If you had to put together a list of D-backs when you got to have a hit, everything on the line, he'd be on the list. Guys you want up there. Three straight fouls on 3 and 2 pitches for Descalso. Here comes one more. Runners on the move again. Misses upstairs, and they're loaded for Marte. Cishek got the first 2, then a single, a hit batter, and a base on balls. Marte 0 for 4. Peralta's at third, Souza at second, Descalso at first. 2 outs in the ninth. Up the middle, Russell knocks it down. A run scores. He's got no play. 5-1. Peralta is home. Second night in a row, we got you tacos, BB.
We love those tacos. We love road tacos, especially. Little sinking fastball that worked its way right back to the middle of the plate. Marte stays on it up the middle of the field. We've seen Addison Russell dive for about a half a dozen balls in the first 2 games of this series and not be able to make the play.
4 consecutive have reached with 2 outs in the ninth. There's a pad run. Here's Ahmed. They're still loaded. Nick singled and scored in the 6th. He's 1 for 4.
Now, certainly I don't know Steve Cishek well enough to say that this is indeed the case, but I played with a lot of pitchers that after drilling a guy seemingly intentionally, they struggle to get back in the strike zone and make good pitches.
So That seemed intentional for you?
Well, I think so.
Okay. Based on?
It's just the fact that Baez is one of the Cubs' best players. He's leading the National League in RBIs. He's a flashy defender. Don't hurt our players. I don't think it was anything intentional on Steven Souza Jr.'s part at second base. As I said, just a weird combination of movements there that caused them to come together at second base.
There's the back pick at third. And Souza back in time. We mentioned yesterday, Wilson Contreras loves throwing to the bases. Caratini just did get back there to cover the bag.
For me, that's an unnecessary throw. Steven Souza Jr. wasn't that far off the bag at third. Only bad things can happen when you try to pick off a guy that's only a couple steps off the bag.
2-1 on Nick. That's low. 3-1. Boy, this inning is unraveling for Cishek after he got the first 2 outs. Got Jay, got Goldie. Avila would be next. 1 run already in. 28 pitches in the inning for Steve Cishek.
Well, that's a big pitch to get back in the count right there. Nick, I'm sure, fully expecting a fastball on that 3-1 count. Laid off the slider, down low, takes it for a called strike. Now everybody in motion on the pitch.
4th time in the inning, Cishek has run the count full. Here it is on 3-2. Ahmed reaches out, trying to get one down there. Rizzo backs up, and he collects that one. But the D-backs tack on a run. Bottom 9, it's 5-1. Jr. It actually started in the 7th when he tried to stretch this single into a double. Baez, the second baseman, covers the bag. The knee is exposed right in front of the base. He would later come out of the ball game. And then when Souza came up in the 9th, this was the pitch from Cishek.
I mean, Cishek's command wasn't great in that inning, but he didn't miss by that far very often. And then words were exchanged down there at first base. And one thing you like, no posturing, no pushing, no name calling. They just had a disagreement in how the game should be played and what was the intent out there at second base. Benches didn't clear. Nobody was ejected.
Steven runs into those situations a little too often, I think, more than you'd like to see. You'd like to see him contain that energy just a bit. Brad Boxberger on for the 9th. 24 saves, an ERA just under 3. He's out here now with a 5-1 lead. Kyle Schwarber will lead it off for the Cubs.
It should be pointed out that Cishek has hit 6 batters in 46 innings this year, so maybe not. We'll have to find out tomorrow if we can. I know what Cishek's going to say. Oh, it slipped.
Trying to work him inside.
Yeah, I got to pitch him inside.
D-backs have the Schwarber shift on, he said carefully. (2-0). What is your philosophy on closers in non-save situations?
I never understood that particular phenomenon, but it's a real thing. I mean, we've seen it happen repeatedly in the history of the game to some of the best closers in the game. I think this is just more a case Brad Boxberger needs some work.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, Brad has been tremendous lately. He's given up 1 earned run in his last 11 innings of work. But, you know, coming off the All-Star break and whatnot, hasn't worked a whole lot lately. Two balls and 2 strikes on Schwarber. Addison Russell on deck. Got him. A fastball up at 93 from Boxberger, and Schwarber couldn't check.
Yeah, a little extra cheese tonight from Brad Boxberger with that elevated fastball.
That might be a symptom of the fact he hasn't worked a lot lately. Got a little more zip on that heater.
A little strong, and that's all right for a guy that relies on a 4-seam fastball. Sometimes guys that rely on the sinker don't benefit from the extra rest. That ball tends to straighten out a little bit, but yeah, guys that throw straight 4-seamers, that little extra gas is a good thing.
I think that was the case with Patrick last night as well, coming off a week off, having not pitched in the All-Star game. He had a little more hump on that fastball. Russell singled in the 5th. He's 1 for 3. Zobrist, the on-deck hitter. Brad quickly ahead 0-2. Don't forget 2 more day games coming up from Wrigley Field. Have them both for you right here on Fox Sports Arizona. D-Back Live pregame show tomorrow at 10:30 in the morning Arizona time. A couple of left-handers, Robbie Ray and John Lester. Whew. Boxberger just blowing guys away with that fastball. 2 down.
Well, Archie came in and struck out 3 of the 4 hitters he faced. Now Boxberger punches out a couple. That's 5 of the last 6 Cubs hitters going down on strikes.
Todd standing by. D-Backs Live post-game show follows our ball game. D-Backs with a win can clinch no worse than a split of this 4-game series. They'll look for a lot more after that, with Robbie Ray going tomorrow afternoon and Zach Godley on Thursday afternoon. Then it's off to San Diego. You know, Zobrist doesn't do that butter churn washing machine thing with his hands anymore.
I've noticed that this year. He changed his setup in the batter's box a little bit.
The hands used to kind of rattle up and down. They're a lot quieter now.
Now he's got the chin tucked up against that right shoulder.
Zobrist singled in his only previous at bat tonight.
Well, that looks uncomfortable.
It looks like he's about to get hit by the pitch, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
He's kind of wincing. That's what you're supposed to do if you're about to get hit by a pitch, sort of turn your back to it and duck. There's one coming right at the back shoulder. Fastball just misses up and away. It's 2-2. So Todd is standing by. D-Backs Live post-game show next. We're back with you at 10:30 tomorrow morning for Game 3 of the 4-game series. So sleep fast. Well, the changeup missed away. Now it's full 3-2. Caratini is the on-deck man. Called strike 3. Boxberger strikes out the side. And the D-Backs have taken the first 2 games of this 4-game set. They win tonight 5-1. Steven Souza Jr. a big night at the plate. Clay Buchholz was outstanding. Archie Bradley and Brad Boxberger shut him down from the bullpen.
2 games so far in this series. The Diamondbacks pitchers have punched out 21 Cubs hitters.